I saw the background of what the audience was. It was about the US, India. It was about young professionals, really at the beginning of their career to figure out what to do. And I thought, you know, what I can speak about is really entrepreneurship. I've, you know, built companies, and I can give you some of my experiences to, you know, maybe it might be answers to questions that you might have as you start your career. Really leveraging technology, and that's where we're in the, you know, capital of technology in India. Most of you are, you know, from an engineering background, and really, we're living in an exciting time. It's the you know, really leveraging in the power of the internet, and I think it's, you know, we're at the beginning of, you know, tremendous opportunity and tremendous innovation that's going to happen. And it's a, you know, I'm really excited about things that I'm doing today and the things that for the next 50 years. The amount of opportunities that are going to happen all around us, and you know, the number of companies that will be formed to leverage some of these opportunities. So what I'm going to do actually is tell you some of my story, because I think, you know, if you look at the audience, you know, 17, 18 years ago, I started my career, like most of you who are in the audience, and I think I started, you know, from a state, you know, close by here. I'm from Kerala. I was born and you know, grew up there. But then I, you know, moved to Saudi Arabia, and I studied in Saudi Arabia, and did really well. You know, had some great parents who taught me some good values and pushed me academically, and really that pushed me to go to the States. I got an F1 visa because, you know, and went to an Ivy League college. I went to the Wharton Business School because since I was a kid, I actually wanted to build businesses. That's what you know, I wanted to create jobs, and I wanted to actually, I ended up at one of the best business schools in the world. So right after college, once you get an F1, after college, you actually are allowed to do 1 year of practical training. I think that was, I don't know, 18 years ago. Is that still the case? So you get 1 year of, you know, doing practical training. But I did something innovative in the sense I didn't, you know, actually get training from an existing company. We actually, myself and a bunch of friends got together. Two of my best friends got together and started a company, and I actually got sponsored by that company. So that was my 1 year training. Once the 1 year training, that company then sponsored my H1, and from there, 7 years later, I got my citizenship. So, you know, from a legal perspective, that's you know, how I got moved from India, went to college in the States, started a company, you know, legally was allowed to work there for 1 year, got my H1, and then, you know, that's how, from a legal perspective. But so I started MedSite, and I think what's really important for any person with any type of business, it's, I think, three key things. It's passion on what you love. You know, you've got to have passion, whatever you know, what you're doing. If that's missing, you know, the road of entrepreneurship is mixed with highs, incredible highs, you know, but incredible lows. To survive the incredible lows, you really need to have that passion and love to actually, you know, get to the next day and survive another day and say, hey, I'm going to, you know, pull the company up or get to the pull out of the lows to get back to the high. So I really, you know, hard work and the drive to succeed. You know, understanding you have to have a vision, you have to know where the finish line is, and you know, and get to that finish line. But really, it was, you know, as I started MedSite, and I'll talk about what the company was, it was really leveraging the power of the internet. This was really early. I graduated in '95, and I started my company in '96. So it was a company, it was a medical search engine that we started. We had no, why did we do that? Because one of the founders was doing pre-med, and we had an idea. So we decided there was no search engine. If you think about it, early days, Yahoo, Alta Vista, those kind of companies, but no real medical search engine that actually focused, specifically on a vertical market. So we started off with a medical search engine, and there we had a company, but really the company, we couldn't, it didn't have revenues because that was a big thing. So I'm going to talk about an important piece, important key element in entrepreneurship and building companies. Because once you have an idea and you start, guess what? Most probably the idea that was in your head probably doesn't work in the real world. So what do you have to do? You got to pivot. Because once you start, you see what the market wants. You see multiple things. What the market wants, what the financing community wants. It's the private equity, the venture community. And you start shifting. So we started shifting. We shifted from being a search engine to being an e-commerce company where we actually focused and became the largest medical bookstore on the internet. So that was great, but guess what happened on the e-commerce side? Really, no profits. We were actually losing a lot of money, so we needed to figure out how to actually make money. So we had to pivot again and try to figure out how do we actually, get to be more profitable. So we started doing, as we became the medical bookstore, we had lots of doctors who started buying. So what do? We started putting more services for the doctor who was now connected to us on the internet. So we became everything for doctors on the internet. This was in 2000. We raised quite a bit of money from big private equity investors. But in 2001, there was a massive crash, and I don't know if anyone, a lot of people remember, but 2001 there was the markets just fell off, and a lot of the dot-com companies went out of business, and we were struggling. So we had to pivot again, and actually, out of all the things that we were doing, one that was really working was helping pharmaceutical companies get to doctors on the internet. And pharmaceutical companies actually spent billions of dollars to get to doctors through sales reps, through online media, through journal advertising. We were doing it through the internet. And we actually said, hey, that's a key market. There's a lot of money there. Let's actually eliminate all our other businesses and really focus on pharma marketing. That's what we did. We became the largest online pharmaceutical marketing company in the US. And in 2006, we actually got bought by one of the largest healthcare companies in the US called WebMD. And that was really, a great story. But what this is really, you can start off with one thing, which is the medical search engine. That's how we started. But we ended up at a completely different business. We became the largest online pharmaceutical marketing company. And that's the most amazing thing about the internet. It's incredible the power of, that medium. And I'm going to talk more later on in the presentation of the world that we are living today. It's incredible the amount of opportunities that are available there for us to actually leverage and create incredible new businesses and new companies out of. So the internet is really early. We are really at the very beginning of the internet age. I mean, yes, it's been about 20 years since the internet's come about, but it's 20 years is nothing in terms of history of industries. So that we are living in a great time, and I think every one of us here, if we have the vision and the passion and the determination, we can build companies leveraging this technology. So if you look at India specifically, the penetration of the internet, it's 11%. I mean, in America, it's 80+%. But in India, it's 11%. I mean, we've seen so many success stories already, but we're still so early in this country in terms of the opportunities. I mean, today, everyone's got smartphones in this room. You guys are browsing the net if you're really bored of me speaking. You're doing so many different things, but it's only 11% of the market today. So there's a tremendous opportunity that way. Really, in terms of, the previous speaker talked about data and the amount of, if you look at this trend, it's just continuing to grow exponentially. And the way that we're using the internet, it's just getting more and more complex. I mean, today I use the internet, all the time. I mean, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on WhatsApp, we're on Snapchat, we're on YouTube, and we're continuously either consuming data or putting data out into the web, and that's growing. And what does that mean? Opportunities for us to create new kinds of businesses around that. Data here again, growth in terms of just volume of content being loaded on the internet, and this volume is continuously growing exponentially. Smartphone penetration. I mean, it's basically computers on your fingertips. And if you look at the smartphone penetration, I mean, in the Western countries, it is pretty, it's 50% plus. But in India, it's early. It's less than 10%. And as that penetration gets, bigger and bigger, the amount of opportunities. I mean, it's a direct connection to a consumer, meaning a direct connection to their wallets, meaning direct connections to create new businesses. But the previous speaker talked about all the evolution. We started 40, 50 years ago with mainframe computing, which went to mini computing, then into personal computing, desktop, and really we're in the mobile, and we're going into the whole wearable computing and having computing everywhere. And that is tremendous in terms of what's happening with that. I mean, it's really exciting, the type of innovation that's happening with things like Jawbone and things like the Nike Plus running systems, and I mean the wearable computing with healthcare. I mean, it's just incredible. But the opportunities that we've seen, it's everywhere. I mean, we could see. I actually didn't have a car to come from Whitefield here because one of my cars is in the garage, the other car is with my kids. So what did I use? I actually used Uber to actually come here. Incredibly efficient system where I can get a cab right there. But take Uber for example. It's basically revolutionizing car service. And so it's if you think about it, taxis, cars are there, and it's been there for the last 30, 40 years. Here comes a company like Uber, completely, connecting the supply and demand for cars, leveraging the internet. They basically gave the Uber software to the car owner, the taxi owner, and gave the Uber software through an app to all of us. And that allows us to find cars where we are and see when the car comes. So do you actually need a car? I mean, I was in London a couple of days ago, used Uber there. I was in New York a week back, used Uber there. So across the world, I'm using this one app. But ideally, from a business perspective, this was a business that was there all along. Uber just had the idea, and now within India, that's the most amazing thing about India. There's Taxi for Sure, there's Ola Cabs that have competing apps that compete with Uber. But like this, there's so many different companies, and some of them I've identified here. And it's for music, there's Spotify. For video, there's Netflix. For reading, there's Goodreads. And there's just plenty of opportunities that we can actually leverage by leveraging the internet, just like how Uber did for taxi cabs. So if you think about the world, and if Jeff Bezos said the internet is really at the beginning, in India is really at the very, very, very beginning. So the opportunities are that much more for all of us. So it's an exciting time. So if you look at what happened between the 90s is when technology really started coming together in India. And one of the reasons I went to the States. Once we built MedSite, I came back. Now I live in Bangalore. My office is actually one block, and we're right next to this building. I came back because the opportunities in this country and what we're gonna experience over the next 50 years is going to be tremendous. But in the first, in the 90s and the 80s and the 2000s, we really saw the first generation of companies come out of India, and these are world-class companies, but very service-oriented. Really, the Wipros, the TCSs, the HCLs, just leveraging and cost arbitrage between India and the rest of the world. We could get engineering, talent here at a much lower cost, so leverage that and actually sell that to the world. From an IP perspective, not much IP around that. We're just doing project work. But as the internet came around and as the world became smaller, and as innovation, we saw more and more companies come out of India, and we're now seeing a whole slew of next-generation companies. And this is the real exciting part. We see companies, the first real next-generation company, Naukri, that went public, and Make My Trip. These are all internet-based companies with IP and technology that really clearly differentiates themselves. But we've got a whole slew of companies that are coming out. Redbus, Flipkart, Book My Show, and Zomato. I mean, Redbus has already got acquired, but Flipkart, Book My Show, these are amazing companies, and there's more coming out, as we speak. The whole, the internet and the whole startup ecosystem in India is evolving, and it's really an exciting time for all of us. So after my first company, I just, what did I do next? So I came back, started an offshore company to serve publishers, but really didn't want to, I wanted to create IP. So I pivoted and actually saw an opportunity to connect publishers through the internet to end users like all of us. The internet really leverages, and transforms different industries. The first industry that I worked on really transformed its pharmaceutical marketing. I said I could do the same thing in the world of book publishing. So we wanted to leverage that. So I built a product called iPublish Central. And iPublish Central was really a platform, a SaaS-based platform that helps book publishers around the world to deliver ebooks and gives them software infrastructure to help them publish, market, deliver across devices, across platforms, across formats. And it's been a tremendous success. We have millions of users leveraging, hundreds of publishers leveraging our platform. We've got millions of users across the world using our platform to read books in hundreds of countries across the world. We go into thousands of libraries. We help students in universities across the world, basically helping them get content and helping them learn. But we do this through our publishing customers. We work with some of the biggest customers around the world. I don't know what that is, but we work with some of the biggest STM science publishers, some of the biggest associations, some of the biggest children's publishers, companies like Disney, Sesame Street, Houghton Mifflin, and really publishers around the world, helping them actually deliver their content across devices. And it comes down to, really, it's amazing the innovation that we've done. And it's amazing. I tell my team, we have a few hundred people, like I said, 2 buildings down. I tell them, we are leaders here, and we shouldn't. You know, the difficult challenge that I have with the team here versus my team in the U.S. is we don't feel, you know, the power that we have and the knowledge that we have this, you know, this, I guess it's a negative perception that we're not good enough. But what I try to tell my team is that we are incredibly good. What we've done and the innovation that we've done is world leading. We are, you know, and we've got to be confident that we are world leading. Even though a publisher or a client, a customer, they could be the GEs or a McGraw-Hill, you might get overwhelmed saying, hey, wow, they know everything. But most of the time, they don't know a lot of things. You know, we know a lot. And trying to get that confidence to the team is one of my jobs, to say, we can actually push the envelope. We can actually innovate, and we can actually lead. And when you can believe that, that's when we can actually lead in the market. And I'm really excited about what's happening in India. I mean, I see Bangalore as where Silicon Valley was in the 1970s, you know, 1980s. The next 30 years, we're going to see some, you know, tremendous companies coming out of Bangalore and coming out of India. Just like we saw, I mean, the red buses and the flip carts. This is just the beginning. So, you know, we're really living in an exciting time. So here we are at you know, my company's growing and it's doing incredibly well, but we need to continuously pivot. So we are now pivoting. You know, so what do I see? So it's, you know, the book, if you look at what the book is, you know, we're really transforming that physical book. Specifically, I mean, the book in a printed world was very one-dimensional. As we go into the internet, we're leveraging the internet to make it really a tool to help in learning. And we're doing some amazing things around that with all our partners, because if you think about the physical book, that physical book that was there has to be shared by everyone, let's say, in this audience, that same book. But with the leveraging technology and the internet, that book, the content that's there, can be specifically delivered to each one of you based on how smart and how quickly you can learn. So we're actually doing all that, and that's what my team is working on very hard to figure out. So really, the adaptive side of delivering content, so it actually learns you while you are engaging with that content. So if you actually know a particular subject, then you will actually go to the most appropriate part of the book so that you can learn quicker and learn it more accordingly. So we're doing that so that it's more personalized, and really, so the company is really a work in progress. We are, you know, we're in a great position. We are, you know, leveraging India. 80% of my business is in the U.S., I mean, in terms of revenues. So leveraging India, leveraging America, and really, you know, building a great company and another success story out of Bangalore. So in conclusion, what I want to, you know, really say is we're living in an exciting time, and I think over the last 10 years, an ecosystem has been built. An ecosystem that can actually enable any one of you to, if you have an idea and the passion and, you know, the determination to work really hard, there is an ecosystem that will, you know, give you, you know, money. So there are angel investors, there are private equity, venture. There's, you know, so to get funding is not that difficult. There are, you know, on the legal side, there are law firms. On the consulting side, there are advisory firms to help you put business plans together. You know, and then, you know, the market. We talked about India. We talked about the world. I think the real benefit for a lot of startups here, and I look at Zomato as a company, They established themselves here in India, and it's a great product. I use it to look for restaurants around Bangalore and in India. But after they leveraged, got success here, now they're going across the world. So, so the markets are there for us to test here and be successful here, and actually then go across the world. So this is a great time for all of us. We have the infrastructure for us to actually, build out your dreams. And, before I conclude, I want to, I think one of my role models is someone I looked up to was Steve Jobs. And, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. So, if you really, really think that you have what it takes, yes, there are a lot of amazing companies that you can work out there and you can actually, succeed. But at the end of the day, if you feel like you have an idea, you should go after it and dream big and, get a lot of success. So there might be, the next Steve Jobs, and I'm trying to be one. But there might be one of you guys who could be one. So that's my presentation. That's my email, samir@impelsys.com. If you guys have any questions, I'm here for the next few minutes, and I'm in Diamond District on the 6th floor in Tower C, which is where our office is based. So that's my presentation. Any questions?